All right. So sorry about that. We are going to go back to chapter 4 where we left off. And I'm just going to go over another question from chapter 4. Um, let's see here. What difference can it make to know that Satan is only an angel with a God complex who wields faulty power and optical illusion of his strength?
These questions just feel like they're so long tonight.
They do. They really do. I'm like,
I'm
but
like,
I think it's
what?
so
What?
we're also
What?
tired.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's just like, I don't know. Can you put that in layman's terms, Kayla?
Okay. So I will do my best. So this chapter is about how Satan is an angel with a God complex. So let's see who wields faulty power and optical illusion of his ministry. So like basically the question is saying what is the difference knowing that Satan is only an angel with a God complex who has like faulty power. So like I don't like I'm trying to explain this and
That's
it's
okay.
very hard,
You don't
but
got to.
you guys get what I
I'll
mean
say
though.
something. This chapter was really powerful. I don't want to dig in too deep for some of you guys who are still kind of, the idea is to overgo these chapters and kind of just like cover them so you can dig deeper into them. But realistically, what this is kind of covering and saying is that, um, sorry, I'm
Chastity's
being
calling me.
distracted. um,
Hey girl.
but I'm sorry, somebody came in and it distracted me. Um, Realistically, Satan
So Liza,
has similar ways of attracting us like God is, and he tends to kind of manipulate us and trick us into thinking like, hey, like this is gonna be great for my life. Realistically, it's really not. And he's kind of manipulating us into thinking that what is happening could be beneficial for us at all. There's a part, I'm trying to find it here. Um, so on page 66, it says, the enemy would love nothing more than to bring the confusion in the way of guilt and shame. And it seems like this Satan is kind of wanting to tempt us and say, hey, pay attention to this, watch this, and trick us. And sometimes we get often confused by like what's really actually kind of happening in our lives. Um, Chapter 4 was very interesting for me to go back and reread. It seems that I'm trying to find the part that I highlighted. This particular um, so I guess I want to read what page 68 says. This isn't really answering what Kayla question that she was having, but this really kind of hit home with me. It was something that really resonated really hard. Havilah was having a conversation with a really close friend who was trying to guide her and give her some direction on something that she was struggling with. And this is a prayer that her friend had recommended to her that she repeat. And I actually copied this entire prayer into my journal today. It's not going to be something verbatim that I'm going to constantly repeat, but like it's very important to kind of touch on this. It says, God, I want to ask for your forgiveness for allowing, she was talking about witchcraft, which when you read the chapter, you'll really understand what he's talking about. It says, forgive me for putting what this man said over what you had said about me, for believing my performance dictates my purpose. I want to break up with the lie that says anything or anyone can control my destiny over your plans. Will you forgive me? I replace that lie with your truth, the truth that tells me you hold my future. You are not looking for perfection, My destiny will continue whether my performance is perfect or not. I give you back full authority over my life. I am putting you in and your opinions above all others. In Jesus' name, amen. And I have chills just rereading that because for me, that was powerful. Now, it may resonate differently for each one of you guys, but it kind of just reminded me of what Chastity had mentioned in our first Zoom call that we had. So if you guys are just tuning in now, talking about the perfection, we're always trying to achieve that. And it's not possible to have perfection. And we forget that. Chastity, did you want to chime in and say something?
I just popped on.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know where we're at. I just now popped on.
That's okay. Totally.
So I don't know if there was a question. Was there a question?
No, I was rereading the prayer that her friend was speaking to her when she was in the car. I don't know if we got that far into it. I was just rereading that prayer because it was talking about God's not looking for the perfection and that our destiny will come whether our performance is perfect or not. And that was something you had mentioned. So I just wanted to see if you wanted to touch on that a little.
I'm not super religious, but I think that goes right back to the him dying on the cross for us, for our sins, because we're not perfect. We're not meant to be perfect. He picks up where we're not and shows us how to get right back on that track. That's it. That's all I got.
It's okay. Did you want to touch on anything, Kayla?
I wanted to touch back onto what Veronica had said in the previous call, which she wrote it in the chat about on page 70. It says in 2 Corinthians, he encourages us to keep Satan from taking advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his schemes. So, and then it goes on to say that the truth is we need to be diligent about our fight against the enemy because he wants to take advantage of us. And then I thought it was very interesting about what Rick Renner, the Greek scholar, had said. And the enemies, and then after that, it goes on to say that the enemy is not content with those he has under his control. He wants to dominate every person on earth, including each one of us. So I thought it was like, that part like was really, for some reason, just like really powerful to me, that we forget a lot of the ways that Satan tries to come in and intervene when God is in control and like when God is taking over. Like Satan, that's when Satan comes in, or like when we are most vulnerable and like we are fighting with our spirituality, like that's when Satan comes in and tries to take over because he sees that we are weak. And we have to remember like that he's truly the enemy and he is not for us. He's out to destroy us.
Well, my enemy is anxiety. So every time that something good happens, like even like medical, I get an MRI of my back and everything came out perfect. Instead of me being happy about that, I think that's when the devil shows for me, because instead of that, I go into, well, what else is wrong then? If that's not wrong, then what else is wrong? Did they miss something? Do the doctors know what they're doing? You know what I mean? So I think that's where that negative feeling weighs heavy on me. I can't just take the positive sometimes and go with it. And so and going back to that statement in the book, it's more like instead of us just accepting where God has played a role, or your higher power has played a role in your life, and having trust in that, it all rolls back to trust. Instead, that's where your demons start to come back, and they try to pull you back in. Like, no, are you feeling good about yourself? No. You need to come back and feel miserable. But you have to have faith or trust that higher power has your best interest, and anything that does happen, it's meant for a reason, and karma's there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's funny that you brought that up, about being pulled back in, and those people, or it's almost like that feeling of like, oh well, what's wrong if that's not wrong? But it's an interesting idea. I'm sure that all of you guys can probably relate, or you probably like have people in your life, maybe still today, that are that's how they live. Like if you're happy, I'm gonna be upset and I'm gonna pull you in and I'm gonna destroy you no matter what, no matter how exciting. You could have won the lottery and they'd be like, you gotta pay all these taxes or whatever. I don't know. They find something negative, but like they're always like those negative Nellies, like no matter what, they bring you down, they pull you back. And learning to distinguish maybe are not like completely kick those people out of your life because they may be family, but learning to put up healthy boundaries, not just walls but just boundaries that say no, don't cross this line, like I'm not letting you on this other side, like you can be in my life, that's as far as you go. And for me, and I know Kayla it has probably a few people I know in her life that she's learning to do that with, and sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easy, sometimes you get a little confused,
And
but
sometimes it's family too.
But that's that you don't have to directly tell them either.
Right.
That's something that you yourself set your own boundaries, and this is my limit. This is where I, shut my door. This is where I draw my line, because I want to be in that positive circle. And just like that girl, like that quote that I love, like fix another girl's crown without letting everybody know that you fixed it.
Yeah.
Like always be another woman's supporter. And that's the same thing that your higher power or God would do for you.
This is also something, this kind of only has something to remind of what you just said about, this is the same thing that goes for forgiveness. You don't have to tell the person you forgive them in order to forgive them. Sometimes you can forgive them on your own terms in your own heart, and with God be like, okay, I forgive this person, but it doesn't mean you need to go preach to the world and tell that person or straight to their face. Like you could write a letter, burn it, rip it up, keep it, whatever you want to do. It's the same thing.
It's finding peace within yourself without them even knowing.
I think tonight's topic is so much, and maybe it's because of these last chapters we've read, but it's so much self-help.
Oh, yeah.
Self-love, self-help, self-empowerment. Yeah.
So I wanted to read something from page 70. It says, our winning and losing in every day will depend on our understanding of the battle and whom we are fighting. Remember, our enemy will always overplay his hand. He is so eager to dominate and control this world that he leaves little to the imagination. He is sneaky, but he is not invisible. He is evil, but he is not all-powerful. He is devious, but the truth exposes him each time. He may surmise what is going on in our lives, but he cannot read our minds. Only God can do that. And I think that is just that just precedes what Kayla said that Veronica had started talking about in our last Zoom call. And I just think that when we're ignorant to what the enemy is doing, he leaves us much more vulnerable, or we leave ourselves much more vulnerable. So when the fact that like we know he's there, we know he is approaching, and sometimes it comes out of nowhere, but sometimes we can kind of be like, okay, something good happened. Maybe Satan's gonna try to sneak in while we're all excited and happy, but like, all right, I acknowledge you, I see you. Doesn't mean something bad is or has to happen, but the fact that, we're paying more attention and we're more alert, we can kind of maybe learn to distinguish or see, oh wait, no, that's just my mind playing tricks on me, or no, hey, that could be Satan. Like, I'm gonna shut that down before it happens. But like you said, Chastity, it's learning to kind of distinguish the differences and kind of seeing that stuff, as it plays out.
And you're always going to see the negative try to so much harder, as that statement says, that the devil can't read your mind, that God can. You don't feel like God. I mean, my thing is you feel the devil or a negative impact, a negative presence around, and you feel how hard they have to try. They have to try so hard because they don't have what your positive influence or your higher power has. And so I always think of, if that's the thing that's really, really nagging me, and it's not something positive in my life, then that has to be the negative spirit. You know what I mean? That's how I try to decipher that. Like, that has to be the negative part of it.
Did you want to read another question, Kayla? Or did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I wanted to touch on one of the empowerment points. You guys know I love these because they're always like they summarize the important parts. But this first one says we can redeem the time or redeem the opportunity if we are willing to take advantage of our Kairos moment. If we are ready to leverage the opportunity, the time we have lost can be redeemed. In the book, a lot, it first started on page 66 about the Kairos, that it is translated to the word opportunity. So Kelly, a lot of the times in chapter 4, you will hear that word, but always think of opportunity whenever you hear that word, hear Kairos come up. So it always talks about like an opportunity moment. But I thought that empowerment point was very exactly what it was and powerful.
Another thing that I have highlighted at the bottom of page, halfway down page 75, Ephesians 6:11 says, "Put on the full armor of God so that you may be able to stand up against all schemes and the strategies and the deceits of the devil." Your enemy isn't wandering around looking for something to do. He's not wasting time. He has a very clear direction and he knows exactly where he is headed. His method to journey on the same path to the same destination over and over again in your life, walking the same path, hoping for an opportunity. And so this really kind of hit home with me because the things that we are constantly struggling with, like all the struggles we have, they're not different. They're the same thing over and over and over and over and again. And the way that I perceived this after reading this today was totally different than what I had in the past. For me, I've turned it into, hey, God's putting something on my heart. He's giving me this opportunity. I didn't learn it the first time or the 100th time. Like, hey, I need to work on this avenue because if I don't, somebody's going to come in and destroy me. And I think looking at it in a different perspective has given me a different way of being more hopeful and joyful and happy about the opportunity that God's giving me to work on this and giving me the strength of him walking beside me and walking the path before me to say, hey, wait, I can do the hard work. And you just need to put the effort into paying attention to what the heck is going on. Like, I keep showing this to you. You need to pay attention to it. And I think that wraps into both of the chapters that we're kind of talking about, like going back and reassessing things like maybe 5 years ago, that if we had these conversations, like our conversations would be totally different because our journeys would all be different. And the fact that we're all here now and how hard this book is hitting us. I know, Kelly, you're still working to get up to speed with us, but 2 days ago, none of this would be of the same where it is now. And I think that, perceiving like we have exactly what we need when we need it. And if you don't have what you think you need, it's because you're not ready for it. And I think that is just mind-blowing in itself.
I just like to go back to, that, my spiritual journey is, a little different, but I don't know how in the heck I got wrapped up in this. Honestly, it's like, I don't know. It was, and I don't know how many times people's reached out to me to do certain things or be on this or be on that. And I'll be honest, this is the first thing that I've ever really been on. The first thing that really just, I don't know, something just drug me to you guys. Like, and I'm super thankful for it. I am so thankful for it. And it couldn't have been at the best time in my entire life with everything going on. Like, and that's, and it's like, after I made the first phone call, I mean, I honestly, after we did this the first time, I said to myself, well, damn it, you couldn't have yelled it to me any louder. You know what I mean? Like, I freaking hear you. It's just like, and occasionally in life I'll say that, like, after something happens over and over and over again, finally I'm like, okay, I get it. I get what you're trying to tell me. I'm working on it, you know?
That's
So,
pretty awesome, Chastity. And you can't see me because I don't have my camera turned on or on me for the recording, but I have tears just flowing because me and Kayla, we've talked about this particular community and creating something for, I don't know, for almost a year now. And we're just like, no, stop making excuses. Like, we're not going to be perfect. When we start this, like, we could have 2 people, or it could just be me and her the whole time. Like, I don't know how it's going to work. Like, I have no idea where this is going. I don't know how it's going to work, but we just need to do it. And we kept saying, oh no, we got to get our website. We got to do this. Like, no, let's just do it. And we just started it. And how we got to this book, I know, Kelly, you're just kind of hopping on, but we had already chosen a book. So like in February, we did a yoga challenge, and that's how Chastity joined us. And for March, we were really like set on, we want to do a self-development, self-care, some type of book. And we had chose a different book. And although we are going to do that book later in the year, somehow Kayla stumbled across this book. And then it got thrown into my lap at a different way. And then it got thrown back into her lap again, like, no, you have to do this. And for how powerful this book is, I think it's that moment you're saying, Chastity, is like, God's like screaming, you guys are finally getting it. Like, this is finally where you're supposed to be. And this is what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm not perfect. And like, I had like a meltdown myself last week, and Kayla can to attest. Like, I was, shutting people out. I was off social media all week, and you guys haven't noticed me posting nothing. I had to take a break and reevaluate some of the things that I was working on or what I was doing. And when I reread these chapters, like yesterday and today, I actually read them and highlighted, I was just like, okay, I did what I was supposed to, because God was yelling at me to let go of some of the things that I have been struggling and holding on to for like 6 months, going, oh, I can do all the things and I can be perfect and I can show up for a million things at one time. Well, guess what? No, God's saying you don't. You need to take your efforts and stick it into 1 or 2 categories. Like, that's it. That's where you need to be. You don't have to be perfect. Like, show up just as you. And like, for things like this, I would plan in advance. Like, I would write notes. I would like have everything organized. And I'm like, 10 minutes before we jumped on the call, I called Kayla and it's like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, I don't know. We're just going to figure it out. Like, we're just going to talk. And in every other aspect of my life, I've always wanted to plan and be like prepared. Like, I don't have to be prepared for this because I'm being provided what I need. And you guys are providing exactly what we need in return. And it's a community. Like, this isn't just about me. It's not just about Kayla. It's not just about Kelly or Chastity or anyone else who's on this call. It's all about all of us giving to each other what we're missing.
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
This just is coming to my mind. One of my like sayings that's been really relevant to the season I'm in now is just let go and let God. And it's something I've been working on personally, and I think it's relevant to what we're talking about here, is just letting go and giving that control up and just letting God work through you and letting him shine through you. And I have just seen it's blown me away, because I've just like released control. I've stopped, like, I don't care what anyone thinks about this. I'm just doing it because I'm very opinionated at like everything. And at work especially, I'm very opinionated. I'm blessed to work in a Christian childcare. And it's amazing to see what all happens and how we influence everyone and just touch lives and the people I get to work with. And I think every year we have like a key verse or theme. And this year is he must increase, I must decrease.
Wow.
And so I've really just embraced that. And it's hard because I mean, like, just about anything that can be thrown at me in that category has. I had a co-teacher with me at the beginning of the year, and she is 50 and I am 26. And she's never had kids, never been around this new environment, but very headstrong, very, I'm going to take charge. And she'd be like, this is how we're doing it. I'm like, but it's not. And this is why. And I'm not that person who will try to overtalk or assert, I just come very quietly. But I'll go, well, let's try it this way. And this is why. And all year, she fought me on that. And she's like, well, I don't have kids. I've never done this. So I was like, well, let me show you how. I happen to have children. And I've done this all last year and everything. So let me show you how. And no matter how many times I'd say or how many times I would do it, I never got through. And I would just go home, go, "Argh!" But I let go of the situation, and it took a lot, and it really taught me a lot. And she ended up resigning right after Christmas break, and I knew, I didn't think she was going to last, and there's a whole lot of issues with it. And so, I was like, well, everyone's like, has she talked to you? I was like, no, she cut me out. And she just reached out to me, and she's like, it's never about you. I love you. I love the babies. I was like, yeah, I get it. And so now we're like reestablishing that relationship, which I never thought would happen. And it's like crazy. And just seeing how God's working in that. And just when I was like, yeah, we done. No, he still has plans for it. And it's crazy. And
Kelly, if you rewatch, I think it's our first live. I think you'll see on there that Kayla, that was a big thing for you.
Yeah.
You spoke about being able to trust God and just putting everything in His hands, and that's a challenge for. I don't care how spiritual you are. That has to be a challenge.
Yeah. Last year our key verse was trust. It's basically trust in God. And last year's a year I don't want to repeat. We had a lot of issues where I just had to go, it's in your hands. You ultimately have success for me. And I know that. And as soon as I let go of worrying about my finances, as soon as I let go about worrying about my life, you'll put the pieces together.
Absolutely. And, agreed.
So that verse hit hard. So every year it's like exciting to look forward to what our key verse is, but also go, this isn't going to be fun.
You're like, what challenges are ahead? What inner self am I like, what battles am I going to have to face?
Yeah. And I mean, this year I've just seen myself just lower and lower and lower, and just seeing how God has really shown through that. And in every situation.
That's come back to this book, Kelly. It really
does. Yeah. I'm not here by accident, and I fully acknowledge that. And I totally forgot it was Wednesday because I'm all messed up. And as soon as you guys had messaged, I'm like, yeah, I told her I would do that. Just and so here I am. But
I think this has been holding us accountable too, but it's also something that I don't know how it's been for you ladies, but I look forward to this since we've started. Like every week, this is my time. Like my boyfriend does his reports for work, and this is my time to be with you guys. So I really look forward to being able to spend this time connecting with you guys and connecting with you guys on another level through this book. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. Liza, I don't know if you have anything else to share.
I know that there's not a lot of ladies on this call like at this exact moment, and I know a lot of you guys tuning in, watching the YouTubes or on the blog or whatever. like if you feel like there's somebody on your heart that you think needs to be here, please just share. Like even if you share the book, share the community, share the videos, like I don't know, like
And reach
find
out to
somebody to
us.
connect to. For so long, this is gonna be hard. For so long, everything in my life always just felt like a hot mess. Like I was chasing everything, and no matter how hard I chased, no matter how hard I pursued, I got the exact opposite. And I, for many, many years, had a lot of toxic people in my life, and I couldn't shake them because they were family. They were people in my life that I couldn't get rid of. And for a long time, I had been searching for a community or true friends or these true intimate relationships, other than physical intimate, with, just having true friendship. And it was so hard for me to find something that really resonated deep, that where I wasn't being needed, I was wanted. And that's something Kayla said to me this week, and it really hit home for me. I almost want to like print out her text message and like
I'll share it with you guys if you
I
don't
really
mind,
want to
Liza.
like print it and hang it on my mirror, because I'm the type of person, as something I want to share or grow with you guys. I don't know if you've heard of the Enneagram, but it's something I want to share with you guys and teach you, because I really think it's made such a difference in my life. But I'm a type 2, and as a type 2, I want to be the helper and the giver, and so I'm constantly giving so much of myself to others that I forget to take care of myself. And this book has stopped me in my tracks and said, hey, wait, you need to stop. Like, you need to take care of yourself. Like, that has to be the ultimate thing. And listening to that has been really hard. For the last 2 weeks since we started this, I have been sitting with myself. No phone, no internet, no social media, no yoga, no books, no nothing. Literally just sitting in silence. And I'm learning to listen to those thoughts instead of repressing them. And that's been really, really hard. But I'm just so thankful for everyone who's here. This community would not be the same without you guys. And I know that there's just a few of you on this call interacting right now, but I know that there are others who are watching, and we hope that you can join us. And if you can't, maybe if there's a better time, we can connect with you individually or in group chats. But we're just glad that you guys are here, because we all seem to be going through very similar struggles. And I think because we want to be perfect, we don't want to share those struggles because we're vulnerable. And I think that's where the growth is, in those vulnerable stages. Chastity was on the call with us last week, and we had shared some pretty vulnerable things. And if you guys have watched it, thanks for coming back, because it means a lot to me. But it's not hard to share the hard stuff. It's hard to be present, knowing that I don't know what's next. And I think that's what scares me the most, is not knowing where I'm going. I know where I've been, I know where I'm at, but I don't know where I'm going. And I think that is so hard. And I'm just glad that you guys are here, because you guys are making a huge impact on me. And like Kayla said, this isn't something that I like, oh my God, I have to, like, this is something I look forward to. And I'm just very, very, very thankful.
Thank you very much for sharing. Really, really thank you. And God, you got me in tears. I mean, and I'm gonna say this as low as possible, which everybody's outside now, but this has been a challenge for me, because I have a teenage daughter, which has a teenage boyfriend, and then I have a boyfriend. They literally make fun of me with this. So that has been a challenge in its own. And so I know if there's anybody else out there that thinks that it's retarded, or, you know what I mean, that's like nervous about doing it, or just I don't know, you know what I mean? Just like challenges. Like, I know that's a challenge for me. And that's something that I'm overcoming right now as we speak. I've changed rooms again. You know what I mean? So it's different.
I'm proud of you, Chastity,
Goes
for
back to-
pushing through that, because I know how hard that can be in the present moment. We only have 3 minutes left, so I want to, Kelly, if there's anything else you want to say, or Kayla, we could stay on here all night and talk. I know that we literally could.
Yeah.
So Kelly, is there anything you want to say?
You got 3
Well, I
minutes.
just think like what you were just talking about, Chastity, going back to that's just letting go of what other people think, and just doing what you know you have to do and what's on your heart, because it's on your heart for a reason.
Yeah.
And teenagers are just cruel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
give them my love.
All right, Kayla, I'm going to let you wrap up the last
Yes.
2 minutes.
Just really quick, this is something that I shared with Liza this week. She's probably going to cry all over again. But I just want to remind every one of you that you are loved, you are wanted, and you are needed. And don't ever forget that. Like, during your times of struggle, during your times of loneliness, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, you are loved, you are wanted, and you are needed. And you have a brave sister community behind you. If there is ever a need that you guys have, reach out to us, reach out to me, reach out to Liza, reach out to one another, because that's what we're here for. We're here to support you and to remind you exactly what I said, that you are loved, you are wanted, and you are needed. If nobody else does need you, we need you. Like, you are wanted here with us. So just remember that. Remember that as you're going through this book and through the upcoming weeks. If you have to post it on your mirror, like wake up every morning where you're going to see that, just to remind yourself, do it.
Me and my obsession with sticky notes.
And I know this call too, so just mwah to everybody. Thank you for everything.
Absolutely.
All right, we are going to end this. We will be back next week, but that doesn't mean that we aren't available during the week. We love you guys, and thank you so much for joining us for another week of Stronger Than the Struggle.
Night, ladies.
Good night.
Night.